Creativity is one of those terms that is full of nuance. Are you born with it? Can anyone be creative? Is it a talent or a skill? For me personally, there was not one creative bone in my body growing up. If you told me that as an adult I would be a creator as opposed to a breakdancer, I would have laughed at you. And now you can laugh at me for thinking I was going to be a breakdancer. Based off my experience, creativity is something that you can learn because let me tell you, I was not born with it. So how can one discover their true creativity? Well, before we go ahead and add things to your daily routine, I think we should first take a look at what we could cut back on. Because these days, it is impossible to be bored. There are distractions everywhere you look. But you have a unique voice and you have a unique perspective, a unique way of creating things that could help this world in a great way. So in this video, let's talk about 5 habits that are killing your creativity so that you can step out of your own way and actually create the type of work that you want to see in the world. So let's dive in. The first habit that is killing your creativity is mindlessly scrolling. A great starting point for discovering your creativity is to gain inspiration from other people online. But, and this is a huge but, if you aren't going into it with a clearly defined goal, you are shooting yourself in the foot. These platforms are designed to keep you mindlessly scrolling, searching for the next dopamine hit or that hilarious video that you can send over to your best friend. But where is this getting you besides just a good old virtual laugh on your phone? Now, laughter is the best medicine, so there is a time and a place for it. But if it is costing you your precious creativity or all your creative juices, then is it really worth it? A year ago today, I was surely convinced that the more content I consumed, the more inspiration I'd have. And the more inspiration that I had, the better content that I would create. However, that's not really the case, at least for me. What works for me personally is gaining inspiration periodically or organically from books, from podcasts, from things, from hobbies that are completely not correlated with the thing that I focus on. So for example, sometimes when I play basketball, I will have the most off-the-wall idea in the middle of playing that I never feel, or at least I feel like I would never have had I stayed in this room trying to think of that perfect idea. Playing basketball and just getting outside helps me process things and step out of the matrix so that I can come up with those creative ideas. I'm able to see life through a different lens, which helps me be more creative. And some of my best ideas come from walks in nature. Just allowing my mind to live in peace in that stillness. And that is something that social media completely robs me of. So I think that it's easy to think that the more social media, the more content that we consume, the better ideas we're going to have because we'll be exposed to more of what could be. But I think that comes from a fear of thinking that could be is not in our minds, that we don't already have that creativity in our minds. If I could go back to my younger self and tell him anything, it's that, dude, just trust yourself. You do have some creative thoughts in your mind if you just created some space. If you just stepped out of the matrix a bit, went and played basketball, went on a walk through nature, you might be able to find that creative voice that you're looking for. As a creative or any profession in general, your mental health comes first, or else your whole world will literally come crashing down. Which is not fun. You don't want that. So maintain your sanity, maintain your mental health that's going to help you show up as your creative self. If consuming content is setting you off balance, don't beat yourself up for it. Like they literally are pulling you in and trapping you into this matrix. So it's not your fault. Don't beat yourself up, but notice it and become aware of it and become aware of that impulse that forces you to mindlessly scroll. Because if you want to change anything in life, you must first become aware of it. So at the very least, just label it, see that you are, having this impulse to pull out social media and mindlessly scroll. And also on top of that, just remind yourself that there are some creative ideas up here already if we just leaned into that and stopped obsessing over socials. Then and only then can you make the change to stop opening Instagram and scroll. And if you do decide to gain inspiration from content, which is totally fine, I'm not bashing on that at all. But if you do decide to go into it with a plan. And wear the hat of a producer, not a consumer, because a consumer is simply consuming for no end result, whereas a producer is going into it with an objective to try to come up with an idea for the next piece of content. The next habit that is killing your creativity is obsessing over SEO. Understanding SEO will never hurt unless you're obsessing over it, because all of a sudden your mind is solely focused on the outcome as opposed to just getting to the next creative project, which can easily become a trap for your creativity. Yes, making sure that your work is getting views and seeing how it's doing is okay, but not when it's at the cost of your creativity. Let me ask you something. Which of these two do you feel like will actually move the needle forward in your life? Is it focusing on the outcome, or is it focusing on the process? Because I can tell you that by focusing solely on the outcome is a surefire way to self-destruction. Even if your video does do well, even if it is getting all of those numbers. If this video gets 1 million views, then you post another video and it only gets 1,000 views, what do you think that's gonna do for your mental health? You're gonna start beating yourself up. You're gonna start thinking that you did something wrong, that you should just quit and let that 1 million video be it for you. You know, you hit the benchmark, now you can go back to not being creative at all. Focusing on results will literally rip the joy out of your creativity, which will not make things fun. And if you're not having fun, then you're not gonna just show up and do the best creative work that you possibly could. When you focus on the process, you focus on growth, and it doesn't necessarily matter where you're at today. It's just a matter of continuing to show up and press record. A rule of thumb that I like to keep in mind in this regard is to analyze periodically, create consistently. In other words, by the time you check the results for the video that you just posted, you already have the script and outline laid out for the next video. Keeping the ball rolling is how you avoid self-destruction, self-sabotage, and overcomplicating the process, because things are in motion. Things are moving. The needle is moving regardless of how it did previously. And that's the mindset I really suggest you wear if you want to be in this for the long game. You can't allow statistics to keep you stuck. This is a mistake that I made for so long on my journey, just beating myself up for no reason. And, you know, what if I put that energy towards the next video? Where would I be now? You know, that thought can sort of eat at you. It eats at me sometimes. If I were just to stay consistent and not worry so much about the external factors, what people thought of me or how I was doing in terms of numbers. Because honestly, at the end of the day, whether or not one person sees it or 100 people see it, you still have one set of eyeballs on your content. And we should do it for that one person anyways, not for the sake of hitting a certain number. Because while these numbers might feel great, and it would feel great if we had, you know, obviously 1 million views on our videos, but is that aligning with why you're doing it? I think we really need to get clear on the why. Like, why do we feel like the only version of success is through millions of views, as opposed to, I am just trying to help somebody out there. I'm doing this because I love to create content. I love to get my voice out there. I want to express myself. Whether or not it hits 100 people or not is not up to me. But if there's one person that resonates with it, then that makes me happy enough. And I think you guys have to ask yourself, like, what is enough? And maybe setting the bar low in the beginning, if that's going to help you just stay consistent, do it. Do whatever it is that you need to do to just stay consistent. What matters is that you create the type of content that comes from you, comes from your authentic self. And if you feel like you haven't discovered your authentic self, the only way to discover that is through the process. It's the only way to figure you out. Over time, just keep iterating, you know, keep testing, test new ideas, and don't continue making the type of content that isn't working or isn't filling you up. You know, if something isn't working, just ask yourself, what could be improved? You know, I think it's how we frame the questions that help us move forward. What could you improve? Not any of this like, oh, that was stupid, or I shouldn't have done this, or I wish I would have done something different. No, it's just not useful to think that way. There's clues inside of all of our decisions that we can apply to our future decisions to make a difference. So don't get wrapped up in results. Don't let your emotions get too carried away. Just realize this is a process, and the only way to grow through that is by analyzing periodically, creating consistently. Most of all, trust yourself and trust the process. This is exactly how you will discover your unique approach to creating either content or whatever it is that you're creating. The third thing getting in your way, or shall I say the third habit that is killing your creativity, is being impatient. I know that you want things to take off sooner than later. Trust me, I get it. But creativity isn't about the destination. It's about the journey. You must lean into patience if you want to stay in this for the long haul. All good things take time, and they should, because that's what makes the journey so beautiful. And when you're first starting, this is easier said than done. I wanted instant gratification as soon as I posted my first video. I wanted everyone to love it. I wanted them to love me. I wanted them to applaud me for all of my hard work. It was all about me. Then I realized that that mindset was keeping me stuck. It's really good to focus on yourself internally, not externally. What I mean by this is, yes, of course, it's important to focus on self-growth. Better yourself, challenge yourself to learn something new so that you can grow, but keep it to yourself. Don't expect the world to love your work. Nobody owes you anything. Just create things that excite you. It's that simple. What helped me gain the patience along the journey is realizing that this is about them, not me. In other words, this video that I'm filming right now is about you, not me. Even though I'm sharing personal stories, I'm just providing context to show you that I understand, so that I can possibly help you make a change in your life. But this isn't about me. This is about you and your creativity. You see what I mean? Whenever you create for others, it creates joy for both parties. On one hand, you're able to help somebody, and on the other hand, somebody might feel impacted by that and you could possibly change their life. It's the same reason why helping a friend or volunteering afterwards always makes you feel good. It wasn't about you. But don't take that statement and, solely focus on giving to others. Because if you aren't giving to yourself first, then what is left to give? Personally, this is why my morning routine is so valuable to me. If I were to wake up and press record as soon as I'm done brushing my teeth, you can bet that I'm not going to deliver you any value whatsoever. But when space is created in my mind first, only then am I able to deliver anything meaningful to you. So if you want to create work that is meaningful, do meaningful work on yourself first, which leads me to the next bad habit for killing your creativity: avoiding the internal work. Showing up online is a process. At first, you're going to feel extremely intimidated and uncomfortable. I say just lean into it. But again, the only way to gain the confidence to continue showing up on camera is by showing up, by making that conscious decision that you are going to press record no matter how you feel. Simple, not easy. If you really want to find your creative voice and learn how to show up authentically with confidence, you have to lean into self-growth. Acknowledge your demons, listen to what they say, and work through them. The worst thing you can do is avoid these demons or fears and just stack your obsession with SEO on top of that. Trust me, I tried and it made me feel absolutely miserable. Like I said earlier, good creative work starts with you. It can't start anywhere else. Your creativity is rooted in your self-development. All those fears you have attached with expressing yourself online need to be covered. Write about them. Get them out of your mind. Don't let them boil in your thoughts. What you'll discover is that those fears are simply not useful. It's just a negative voice in your mind. And fear is something that is born inside of us. It's in our nature. It actually can be a good thing. It can keep us alive. It can keep us away from threats. It's impossible to be fearless. Like, everybody has something that eats at them, but you can't let it stop you from taking action. This will keep you feeling stuck and miserable inside, just like I used to. Growing up, I had such a tough time expressing myself. I literally struggled so much just being able to piece together thoughts in order to have a meaningful conversation. This ate me up as a young kid. I remember my sisters even complaining about how difficult it was to talk to me. I'll never forget the moment that I was sitting in the passenger seat on my way home from school, and one of my sisters was driving me home, and I remember her trying so hard to have a conversation with me, but deep down I just had nothing to respond. And I was just the no response, or actually I was the one word response kind of kid. It wasn't until I found photography that I felt like I was actually able to express myself. But the thing with photography is that it's only photos. So that insecurity that I had with my thoughts or my ability to express my thoughts carried over into my creative journey as a filmmaker. Really ate me alive whenever I started this YouTube channel. It's extremely difficult to create a video in which you don't know how to fully express yourself. Then I realized a pattern. Every single time I was having a conversation with somebody, I was in my mind acting as if I was talking to myself. And so what I would do is I would judge my thoughts. I would judge the way I said something. I would judge my pauses. I would, beat myself up for thinking I was stupid for waiting 0.587 milliseconds or whatever you want to call it. Seconds, I guess that's the right way to say it. 0.587 seconds to respond. And I would beat myself up thinking that I was just some idiot or something. Ultimately, I was more concerned about what the other person was thinking about me as opposed to just sitting with my thoughts. You see the problem? I realized that I needed to work on myself. I needed to work internally. I needed to tackle my fears and come to terms with them and realize that I was the one getting in my own way. Not anything else, not anybody's judgment, nothing. It was just me and my mind getting in my own way. Now, everybody has their different fears. What scares me might make you laugh. And I get it, because when I think back to my younger self, I'm like, dude, this is so silly for you to be worrying about that. You know your fears best, and there's nobody else who can fully understand them, who can solve them for you. It's a matter of you tackling them first. Only you can overcome your fears and truly show up to create the type of content that you want to see in the world. Which, by the way, if you struggle with that sort of thing, that is exactly why the organic video formula was created. So if you want to learn more about that, just head over to the description. You can find out more there. But either way, just focus on doing that internal work, focus on self-growth, and just document the journey along the way. Like, creating content is way easier that way. Way less complicated when you're just focusing on your self-growth and sharing the lessons that you're learning along the way. The fifth habit that is killing your creativity is forgetting that you are unique. You see all these creators online and you think to yourself like, man, if only I could create something like that. And the truth is that you can, possibly even better. Nobody in this world can compete with you on being you. Nobody has the same exact personality. Nobody has the same exact experiences. Nobody has the same exact thoughts, mindset towards things. Nobody can mimic your personality the way that you can. Nobody, which is exactly what makes you unique. So if you want to be more creative, first lean into what makes you unique. Yeah, I know that one can be like, oh, the fuck makes me unique? Yeah, I get it. But just ask yourself, like, what makes me the way that I am? I had to ask myself that question whenever I started to deal with my insecurities. I realized that the 6-year age gap between me and the youngest of the 4 sisters that are my siblings is probably why I was so shy growing up. Maybe the fact that I grew up as the only boy in the family with 4 sisters added up to that shyness. Maybe the fact that I moved from the suburbs to an 83-acre ranch with no neighbors but cows and chickens and donkeys. All of this at age 7 too. Add all of this together and who is there for me to talk to actually connect with? During my childhood, my sisters were focused on being teenagers. Rightfully so. Now I can use my story to provide context to connect with viewers like you to help you overcome your fears. And that's what makes me unique. So getting to the root of why is going to help you discover how you are unique. And I promise you, there is something about you that is unique. You just have to look for it. And the only person who's going to find it is you. And once you do, you'll be able to position yourself in a way that nobody can compete with. You'll be able to use that story to attract people who resonate with your message and actually make an impact on their lives. And not only do they live better as a result, but you do too. Because when you're able to make an impact and you're able to help others, that is how you create a lifestyle that is meaningful to you. You get to express yourself with your creative voice. You get to take that business idea off the ground. And you get to make this world a better place by doing so. So now it's ultimately up to you to tackle these fears, to be mindful of these habits that are causing you to stay stuck creatively, and to realize that the answer to your struggle is just on the other side of the fence. It's just on a matter of taking a walk. It's a matter of getting out in nature and, taking care of your mental health and also focusing on self-growth. Doing all of these things, I guarantee you will find your creative voice. As long as you show up and you wait until you're done brushing your teeth and you wait until you go through your morning routine to actually press record, you fill your cup up first before you give it to others. It's inevitable that in due time, in consistency, and with patience, you will actually create the thing that you want to see in the world. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to take it a step further, you want to learn more about OVF, again, that is in the description below. Regardless, I just hope you have a great day and get 1% better today. And I hope this video helped you do that. And the last thing I just want to close this video off with is to just trust yourself. You got this, and you know you can. Deep down, you know you can. It's just a matter of making the decision to clear off the desk of things that are getting in the way. I'll talk to you soon. Hope you have a wonderful day, and till next time. Bye.